SCP-3077 Sugar Golems. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-3077 is to be kept in secured cryogenic storage units at Site-81 when not in use. Any and all storage units used to hold or transport SCP-3077 must be filled to maximum capacity to prevent the accidental emergence of SCP-3077-1. Instances of SCP-3077-1 and -2 may only be created with the permission from SCP-3077's head researcher. Said instances may only be created within a hermetically sealed and fully secured test chamber and must either be destroyed via incineration or returned to cryogenic storage once testing is concluded. Description: SCP-3077 refers to a quantity of nearly 2,280 liters of black treacle. It was originally found contained in 10 oak barrels imprinted with the label Tilly's Terrifically Ticklish and Tremendously Thaumaturgical Treacle. SCP-3077's primary anomalous property is that it is animate unless it is confined to a suitably small space or kept at cryogenic temperatures. The main body of SCP-3077 was split off into numerous instances of SCP-3077-1. Instances of SCP-3077-1 are coagulated masses of SCP-3077 that resemble gaunt humanoids missing their lower extremities. Though size varies significantly, instances are on average 1.0 meters in height and composed of 7 to 8 liters of SCP-3077. Instances are capable of producing crude vocalizations, though are incapable of speech. Individual instances of SCP-3077-1 typically possess orifices upon the head to approximate facial features. However, the size, shape, position, and number of these orifices varies between instances. Instances are often deformed in some manner. Common deformities include collapsed skulls and disproportionate body parts, with nearly a third of all instances being conjoined at various points of the body. Instances of SCP-3077-1 will drag themselves around aimlessly until encountering human life, at which point they will swarm any humans present and attempt to enter their mouths. Since instances do not possess anomalous strength or durability, it is possible for initial assaults to be fended off. However, SCP-3077-1 instances can only be effectively terminated by exposure to temperatures in excess of 176 degrees Celsius. If destroyed by brute force, SCP-3077-1 will immediately reconstitute into new instances and resume its assault. Tests with D-Class have shown that SCP-3077-1 will maintain their assault indefinitely until victims are too exhausted to defend themselves. Once SCP-3077-1 has entered the mouth of its victim, it will override their central nervous system via yet undetermined means and control them in a jerky, puppet-like manner. At this point, the victim is classified as SCP-3077-2. EEG readings indicate that instances of SCP-3077-2 remain fully conscious. Tendrils of SCP-3077 will typically emerge from the mouth and run across the instance's face along random paths, with subcutaneous tendrils often being visible throughout the body. Upon finding humans unaffected by SCP-3077-1, instances of SCP-3077-2 will put on a performance to the best of its ability, dancing about in an uncoordinated manner and producing hoarse, incoherent songs from its throat. The performance will continue until either the audience is out of sight or the instance expires. Instances of SCP-3077-2 can live for several days before dying of dehydration. Instances will not consume food or drink upon their own accord, but can be kept alive indefinitely if restrained and provided with an IV drip or force-fed. Upon expiration, the instance of SCP-3077-1 will abandon its host and seek a new victim. Recovery. SCP-3077 was acquired by the Foundation after an anonymous phone call indicated the presence of GOI-233, Herman Fuller's Circus of the Disquieting, in Redacted, County, Indiana. Mobile Task Force Kappa 14, Sideshow Bob, was dispatched, and upon arrival discovered the barrels originally containing SCP-3077, a mound of 40 burned corpses, all determined to have been previous instances of SCP-3077-2, and a woman designated Person of Interest 3077-01. Upon recovery, Person of Interest 3077-1 was bound, gagged, and blindfolded. Below is the preliminary interview with Person of Interest 3077-1, an MTF Kappa 14, recovered from the commander's body cam. Begin log. Christ, this one's alive. Miss, can you hear me? Person of Interest 3077-1 nods and vocalizes emphatically. Good, I'm going to untie you. Is that all right? Person of Interest 3077-1 nods again, and the commander proceeds to undo her bindings. Upon doing so, he uncovers document 3077-1. Oh my God, thank you so much. I thought I was going to die out there. Miss, can you tell me what happened to you or to those bodies? Are you cops? You look like a SWAT team or something. Who we are isn't important at the moment. We're here because we got a tip that Herman Fuller's Circus was in the area, and judging by your colorful apparel, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess you weren't just some unlucky guest who walked in on them milking the clowns. Am I wrong? Okay, yes, I was with the circus, but I'm pretty sure I'm out of a gig now. My name is Saccharina Sweet, and I'm a carnival confectionery. I made magic candy for them, but they tied me up and left me out here in the middle of nowhere, so screw them. They killed my babies. Burn them alive with me lying here helpless. I'll tell you anything you want to know if you promise I'll be free to go afterwards. It's not my call to decide what happens to you, miss, but I'm going to get you somewhere you'll be safe. If you can tell us what happened here, it would help us out a lot. It might make the eggheads more inclined to go easy on you. Fair enough, I can do that. I guess it started a few months ago when I was studying the thaumaturgical treacle and reading over my Nana's old Book of Shadows to try to come up with some new recipes, and I realized that with a few simple modifications, I could turn the treacle into sugar golems. I thought they'd be gooey little people singing and dancing for the crowds. They'd be a huge hit, and I might be able to move myself up the circus's pecking order. So I pitched my idea to Icky. Who's Icky? She's the ringmaster now. She and the upside-down face guy are in charge. Don't ask me what happened to Fuller. I don't know. That was before my time, and no one seems to want to talk about it. Yeah, in the interviews, I read one of the circus's former stars mentioned a female ringmaster. Said she was hot. She's a clown. Clown with a capital C. As in, not human. You into that? I hate clowns. Nunez, do your job. Miss, please continue your story. So I pitched my idea to Icky, and she loved it. except that she renamed them to sugar babies. She got me everything I needed, and I got straight to work. I succeeded in making the golems, but they weren't quite as I envisioned them. Hell, they were horrifying. But everything in that circus is horrifying, so no one seemed to care. They were too deformed to sing and dance, but they kept trying because they knew that's what I wanted them to do. I felt so bad, like a god who had made their creation too frail to live up to their divine standards. Icky decided that because they were so small and slippery, we should do an acrobatics and gymnastics routine. And because they could be torn apart and be put back together, we could incorporate some dark slapstick humor into the act. I went along with it and worked with the trainers and performers, even though everything had strayed so far from my original vision. Eventually, everything progressed smoothly, and eventually, it was our opening night. Saccharina's sweet, sensationally sublime sugar babies. They love alliteration at the circus. Anyway, we were in the ring. The spotlight was on us, but they wouldn't perform. My golems, my babies, they just sat there staring out at the audience. Then, all hell broke loose. They scattered into the audience, leaping into their mouths, forcing themselves down their throats, controlling them from the inside, like meat puppets. Even though they aren't that strong, they can be quick when they want, and they targeted the most vulnerable members of the audience, including little kids. They had never done anything like that before. I was dumbfounded. Crap, is that what these bodies are? Did you hear all that? These bodies are level 4 anomalous biohazards. Bag and tag accordingly. Full hazmat handling protocols in effect. Same goes for those barrels. Yes, sir. Please, continue, miss. Manny, the upside-down face guy, he tried to intervene and one went inside his mouth too. Except that one came flying back out, screaming. Whatever's behind that inverted face, it's gotta be pretty messed up. The audience fled in terror, except for the ones my babies got, and they used their new bodies to sing and dance for me, like I'd always wanted them to. Icky completely lost her shit. She's normally manically happy, but when she's mad, all that energy is turned into rage. She lifted me up by my throat, she's a lot stronger than she looks, and she started strangling me. She called me a traitor, accused me of planning this all along, said that I had murdered their guests, that my golems had tried to kill Manny, and that they could have killed her girlfriend or the rest of her family, and she just kept ranting until I passed out. She tried to kill you? Why do you think she let you go? I don't know why she didn't kill me. Maybe Manny stopped her? I heard him say once that freaks shouldn't kill freaks when there's a whole world with torches and pitchforks ready to do it for us. When I came to, I was already tied up and he was carrying me. I think we went through the kaleidoscope, but I was blindfolded, so I'm not sure. He set me on the ground next to my baby's burning corpses. I asked him what he was going to do with me, but he didn't answer. The only thing he said to me the whole time was, "Sorry, kid, but if it's any consolation, this wasn't even the worst opening night I've seen." What are you going to do with me? For now, we're going to give you some food and any medical care you need, then take you to our nearest holding facility. Just do what they say, answer all their questions, and maybe you'll see the outside of those walls someday. Okay, right now, all I want is to get away from the stench of these bodies. I never could stand the smell of burning sugar. End log. Person of interest 3077-01 is currently being held at Site 81 as a person of interest regarding both SCP-3077 and GOI-233. Testing has confirmed that instances of SCP-3077-1 do not attack Person of Interest 3077-01. and instances of SCP-3077-2 appear to congregate around her when she is present. However, she does not appear to possess any ability to control either. Testing has also shown that despite possessing extensive knowledge and expertise on anomalous phenomena, Person of Interest 3077-01 is a non-anomalous human. As such, she has not been given SCP status, but is to be considered a valuable asset for both her anomalous expertise and inside knowledge of GOI 233. As she has been highly cooperative with testing and questioning, she is to be housed in a low-security residential wing with limited and supervised access to Site-81's common facilities, along with standard guest privileges conditional on her continued cooperation and good behavior. Document 3077-01 found on Person of Interest 3077-01 during initial recovery. Dear Essie, kindly accept this gift of 10 60-gallon barrels of only slightly accursed treacle for your collection, a splendid addition to any syrup cellar, as a token of our appreciation for disposing of the accompanying mound of smoldering, golem-infested carcasses and the treacherous witch who made them. Do not believe the witch's lies. She will feign helplessness over her creations, but they obey her will, not her words. Do with her as you will, but don't go too easy on her. She made my little lollipop cry. Have a disquieting day. Icky.